Welcome, my friends. Jack and I are so glad to be with you and have some time to meditate together. So many of us sheltering in place right now and living with this whole range of feelings of fear for ourselves, for others, all the uncertainty that comes with the global pandemic. So it feels particularly meaningful to gather like this from all parts of the world, practicing in ways that can awaken our hearts. And this is the hope, really, that together we can hold the great suffering of our times and really take care of our own beings and really take care of each other and those most in need. So for today, we'll be doing two meditations. I'll begin with a practice that helps us arrive in open and spacious awareness. And then Jack will follow with a guidance and meditation that really wakes up the heart. So wherever you are, let's take a moment together now to find a way of sitting, or you might be lying or standing, a position that most supports you in being awake and relaxed. And now closing your eyes, feeling this body right here breathing. And extending the in-breath. So it's a long, deep, full breath, filling the chest and the lungs. And a slow out-breath, with the out-breath releasing, letting go. And again, nice full in-breath. And a slow, smooth out-breath, releasing, letting go, letting go. One more time, filling the chest and the lungs. And a slow out-breath, releasing, relaxing outward, letting go. Now allowing your breath to resume in its natural rhythm. Sense the quality of presence that's here. And with this presence, we'll gently scan through the body, awakening and relaxing through the body. And I invite you to start with your eyes. You might imagine that you can smile into your eyes, letting the outer corners be lifted somewhat, and softening the eyes, letting the brow be smooth, and opening to the sensations that are in that region of the face. Tingling and the vibrating, perhaps the flickering of light and darkness at the lids. Bringing the attention to the mouth. You might bring a slight smile to the lips. Feel a smile on the inside of the mouth. Letting the tongue fill the lower palate. And relaxing the tongue right down to the root. And opening the attention to feel your whole mouth. Gums, the teeth, the lips, tongue. Receptive to the sensations and aliveness there. And letting that sense of aliveness spread through the whole face, scalp, skull. You might feel and imagine your throat filling the neck. letting awareness fill that area, feeling the sensations, and then allowing the shoulders to fall away from the neck. And filling the shoulders with awareness, letting whatever tightness or tension might be there float in awareness. You might imagine a dissolving or melting of ice to water, and then water to gas. Perhaps aware of space and a little movement of sensation in the shoulders. And sensing the flow of energy down through the arms. You might soften the hands. And softening again. And feeling from the inside out the aliveness that's there. Tingling, vibrating, perhaps pulse, warmth. Just as a cup can be filled with water, this whole body can be filled with awareness. And letting there be an openness at the chest. And then with a receptive presence, feeling the energy at the heart, feelings, sensations. And you might smile into the heart, visualize and sense the curve of a smile spreading through the heart. Not to cover over, but to really make room for the life that's here. Scanning down the torso, letting this next breath be received in a softening belly. This breath. And now this one. And again. Opening with a receptive presence to feel the life in the belly. Sensing the possibility of continuing with a soft belly. Aware of the sensations and aliveness through the pelvic region. Feeling the legs, the length and weight and volume of the legs. The energy moving through the legs right down into the feet. So if you let your awareness fill the feet, you might sense places of contact, pressure, and inside the tingling and vibrating. And now widening the attention so you can feel this whole body as a field of sensation. Not stopping anything, controlling anything. Including the coming and going of sound in this field of aliveness. So you're listening not just with your ears, but with your whole awareness. Listening to and feeling the whole moment. Aware in the foreground of the changing stream of sensations, feelings, sounds. And in the background, that vast wakeful stillness. Is resting in that open awareness, receiving the changing flow of experience. It's quite natural for the attention to drift, to get distracted by thoughts. When there's a noticing of that, to simply relax open again, listening to the sounds that are here. Relaxing, perhaps letting go in the shoulders, softening the hands, letting the belly be loose, and softening the heart. Arriving again in a relaxed openness that includes the changing stream of experience. If something strong arises and calls your attention, fear, pain, the body, just offering a gentle presence, perhaps a mental whisper of yes, allowing what's here to be here, letting it move through you. And if it feels very difficult, breathing with it, offering some gesture of kindness. It's okay. Letting what's here come and go. You might sense if it's possible to let go just a little bit more right now. Relaxing back, resting in awake awareness, and letting this life live through you. The breath, sensation, sound, coming and going, all happening in an open, relaxed awareness. We'll close our meditation with a poem by Roger Keyes called Hokusai Says. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. He says, there's no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself as long as it's interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees. Wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. Peace is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. You might take a few full breaths, and as you're ready, open your eyes. Yeah, so we'll take a couple of minutes, a few moments to stand, stretch. Please take good care of your bodies. And then Jack will be leading our guided heart meditation. Thank you.
Hello and greetings to all of you who are watching, who just listened as I did to Tara's meditation that's so grounding and bringing us into presence. And I'd like to follow up as we try to find our way to navigate and respond with resilience and maintain a sense of open-heartedness and well-being through this enormous and challenging crisis time. In Zen, they say there are only two things. You sit and you sweep the garden, and it doesn't matter how big the garden is. That is, you sit to quiet the mind and tend the heart and center yourself, so you live from a place of care and strength in your own being. And then you get up from that place of centeredness and go out and sweep and tend the garden of the world. Mahatma Gandhi, in his work to dismantle the entire British Empire, would take a day of weekend silence. And even if it was in the middle of the most intense times in the partition of India and Pakistan, and people would come to him and say, Gandhiji, there are millions of people out on the streets marching. People are dying. We need you today. And he'd say, I'm sorry, today is Thursday. It's my quiet day. And he would take enough time to quiet and center himself so that then his responses and his actions could come from the place of his highest intention, from the place of his deepest wisdom. Now, for all of us at this point, with the level of anxiety and worry and fears and all kinds of other things, we're thrown into fight, flight, or freeze response, which we do when things feel dangerous to us. This is natural. There's fear, and perhaps in many ways, the fear will also be turning to grief. What's important is, as Tara led us, to understand that we can allow these emotions with loving awareness and actually manage them, because who we are is so much bigger than these. So when your fear or anxiety, grief come over you, first of all, acknowledge them as part of being human, of your own humanity. And then when all the thoughts continue, you can say to your body and to your fear, to your grief, thank you for trying to protect me. I'm okay for now. And you can feel a well-being that can acknowledge all these things that are trying to protect you and not necessarily follow and identify with them. I think of the story of my teacher, Ajahn Chah, walking across the rice paddies in the morning to collect alms food in those little dikes between the rice paddies. And we were following him, and looking out across the landscape, there was a great big boulder there. And he turned to us and said, monks, is that boulder heavy? And being well educated, we said, yes, it is, master. And he smiled and he said, not if you don't pick it up. So it's also possible to acknowledge what we feel and then to place it somewhere. Imagine that you place your anxiety or fears on an altar in the lap of Mother Mary or the Buddha or Kuan Yin or the generations of scientists and ancestors who've learned to survive these difficulties. Above all, stay connected to one another, as to those around you in whatever way you can, to tend and to care. This is a time of extraordinary mystery and uncertainty. The veils of separation are parting, and the reality of interconnection is apparent to everyone on earth. We've been forced to pause, and in some way, we may have even needed our isolation to see how much we need each other. Remember, as human beings, that we've all passed through great cycles of war, of floods, of famine, of epidemics before. You have in your DNA and in your body the ability to survive, as so many generations have before you. And the difficulties are not the end of the story. As the poet Rumi says, no, it's the poet Ghalib, who says, after the rain, clouds, and storm have wept themselves to the end, there is a clearing of all things. I'd like us to remember beauty in the midst of it all and loving kindness. The difficulties we are in are part of what have to be held in our hearts. But in this same day, there are plum blossoms outside the window. There are messages from those we love. There's the care we have for people and beings in the earth. If anything, it's heightened now to see how much we care. Every song, every flower, every person that we worry about is an expression of our deep love. We want to remember these no matter what. We are part of the great heart, they say, as the Sufis say, like the mother of the world who contains the whole of the world in your heart. You're called upon to meet the tears and the beauty with compassion and love, to hold all of it together. And remember that suffering is not the end of the story, that 99% of us will be fine in the end, even though we go through this very difficult time. The end of the story is love. So let's practice together the practice of loving kindness, of metta of the heart. Let yourself settle again quietly. Sense yourself seated in your body on the earth in a stable and steady way. Feet flat on the floor, and perhaps again, take 2 or 3 deep breaths to release any obvious tension or tightness that you can. And as you bring your attention into this human body that you've been given, this human heart and mind, hold yourself in a field of loving kindness and tenderness and whisper gently in the mind and the heart simple phrases of care. May I be safe and protected. May I be well. May I be tender with all the difficulties that arise. May I be loving and strong. And feel the natural well-wishing for your own body and heart and mind in this time. How important it is, how it boosts your energy, your immune system, your well-being, to find amidst all that's happening the great heart of loving kindness, to embody it. May I be safe and protected. May I be well. May I be tender with the difficulties. And may I be loving and strong. And with each of these phrases of well-wishing, that you can also change as your heart speaks to you. Let yourself invite the sense of loving kindness, of tenderness, of courage and compassion to fill your being. May I be safe and protected. May I be well. May I be tender with difficulties. May I be strong and loving. Now open your heart further to those closest to you, to members of your family or dear ones. And as you think of them, one or two or three, this circle of those you love around you, offer the same blessings and care as if a prayer, as if a power you could offer to them. May you too be safe and protected. May you stay well. May you be tender with your difficulties, compassionate. May you be loving and strong. And feel how the heart can radiate out the thoughts and feelings of well-being, to vibrate with the others, just as if someone were to play a violin and another violin were seated there on the table. The strings of the second violin would resonate with the notes played on the first. Let the resonance of love spread from you like a beautiful sound, like a golden light. May those I love, and let the circle now get larger. Friends and loved ones, feel this caring heart. May you all be safe and protected. May you be well. May you be tender and kind with the difficulties. May you be loving and strong. And now let the power of your loving heart, your metta and loving kindness, compassion, extend from you like a lighthouse, a beacon out across the landscape to so many who are struggling or frightened at this time. to those worried about their parents or their children, how to feed those they care about, how to survive in this time, to those singing from their balconies, to those making art, to all those beings in our shared humanity. May you all be safe and protected. May you all be well, be healed. May you all keep a tender heart through the difficulties. And may you all be loving and strong. And as you feel this power to extend your loving kindness and healing, let yourself vision beyond the difficulty, the world that we want to create. It's time to reimagine this world, for us all to be the medicine, the uplifting music, the lamp in the darkness. Burst out with love, be a carrier of hope, and even if there's a funeral, send them off with a song. And as you extend your loving kindness, let yourself also imagine, move your hands to the sides of your body, that you can hold hands with others in a huge circle of life. That we're holding hands with one another to be safe and protected, to hold each other with tenderness, to be loving and strong. And finally, let your heart make a vow, an aspiration, set a deep intention of what spirit you most want to embody through this difficult time. What is your deepest intention, your best, most noble aspiration as we go through this time with one another? And holding this intention in the heart and recognizing that you can be a carrier of hope, that you can be a beacon of love and a tender heart. Feel your strength, your own gifts, your beautiful intention, and let these carry you. Thank you, dear friends. Stay safe and well. Stay loving and strong, tender and connected.